Carlos Alcaraz has become much more than just a rising star in the world of tennis. He has become a symbol of a new generation, a player who embodies the spirit of evolution in the sport, someone who carries not only the dreams of Spain but also the expectations of millions of fans around the world who see in him the continuity of greatness. His journey is not simply about titles or rankings, but about the aura he brings to the court, the charisma that radiates when he smiles after a breathtaking point, and the intensity with which he competes against the very legends he once admired from afar. In every sense, Alcaraz represents the future, but he also feels deeply connected to the traditions of tennis, bridging past and present in a way that feels both natural and inspiring. Born on May 5, 2003, in El Palmar, a small town in Murcia, Spain, Carlos grew up with tennis in his blood. His father, Carlos Alcaraz González, was a tennis coach and introduced him to the sport at a very young age, cultivating both discipline and passion in his son. While many athletes discover their love for the game later in life, Alcaraz had that fire almost instinctively, swinging rackets that seemed too big for his small hands, running after balls with endless energy, and showing from the beginning that tennis was not just an activity, but something ingrained in his DNA. The courts of El Palmar became his playground, and from those modest beginnings, he started to dream of stages much larger than the ones he first set foot on. What makes his story so fascinating is how rapidly his talent blossomed. Coaches and fellow players recall his insatiable hunger to improve, a young boy who never wanted to leave the court, always asking for one more drill, one more rally, one more opportunity to stretch his limits. That relentless drive for perfection became the foundation of his career, because unlike many prodigies whose skills might outpace their maturity, Alcaraz combined natural ability with mental resilience at an age when most are still trying to figure out their identity. His rise through the junior ranks was steady, not forced, but deliberate. Each year brought with it new achievements, new lessons, and new challenges, and he faced them all with the same enthusiasm that characterized his personality. When Alcaraz began stepping into professional tournaments as a teenager, it was clear that the sport had stumbled upon something rare. He wasn't just another talented player from Spain, he was someone with a presence, someone whose style of play drew immediate comparisons to Rafael Nadal, but with flashes of uniqueness that hinted at a completely different future. While Nadal had built his legacy through sheer intensity, warrior-like focus, and unmatched dominance on clay, Alcaraz brought with him an element of joy, creativity, and flair that felt refreshing. His ability to hit shots from improbable angles, to mix in drop shots with explosive forehands, and to chase down balls that seemed impossible to reach captured audiences in ways that statistics alone could never measure. Tennis, with him on the court, felt alive in a new way. But for all his natural gifts, what has truly separated Alcaraz from many of his peers is his mental toughness. This is not simply the toughness that allows a player to fight back from 2 sets down, but the kind of inner strength that can withstand the weight of expectation, the glare of the spotlight, and the inevitable comparisons to the legends who came before him. From the moment he began climbing the rankings, Alcaraz was labeled as the next Nadal, or the next big thing, a burden that could easily have broken a lesser player. Yet instead of shrinking under that pressure, he embraced it, using it as motivation to carve out his own identity. He understood that while Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic had set the bar incredibly high, his journey would not be about replicating them, but about writing his own story in a voice that was unmistakably his own. That mindset was put to the test in his early battles with some of the sport's biggest names. His rivalry with Novak Djokovic, in particular, has come to symbolize the passing of the torch in tennis. Djokovic, with his relentless defense, mental fortitude, and unmatched experience, has stood as the immovable force at the top of the sport for well over a decade. Facing him on the grandest stages could intimidate anyone, but Alcaraz approached those matches with a sense of belief that was remarkable for his age. Their encounters have been intense, filled with breathtaking rallies and emotional swings, and each one has added a new chapter to the growing legacy of both players. Alcaraz has shown that he can not only challenge Djokovic but also beat him on the biggest stages, signaling to the world that the new generation is not waiting politely for its turn, it is here to claim it. Equally fascinating has been Alcaraz's connection to Rafael Nadal, the very icon whose shadow looms largest in Spanish tennis. For years, Nadal represented the pinnacle of excellence for Spain, a warrior whose dominance on clay and achievements around the globe made him a national hero. For Alcaraz, growing up watching Nadal was like having a living example of what greatness looked like. And yet, when the two finally faced each other, the younger man approached it with respect but not fear. Their encounters were symbolic, almost mythical, a meeting of past and future where the torch seemed to flicker between hands. Alcaraz's victories against Nadal were not about dethroning a king but about honoring him by proving that Spain's legacy of greatness would continue. In every fist pump, every respectful embrace at the net, and every smile shared afterward, the mutual admiration between them showed that this was not rivalry born of hostility, but one rooted in legacy and continuity. And then there is Jannik Sinner, perhaps the most natural rival for Alcaraz in this new era. The matches between the two young stars have been electric, battles of skill, endurance, and willpower that have captivated audiences and hinted at a rivalry that could define the next decade of men's tennis. Where Djokovic and Nadal represent the old guard, Sinner represents the peer who will push Alcaraz to new heights, the competitor who will force him to dig deeper, adapt, and refine his game. Their duels, already marked by epic 5-set thrillers and unforgettable shot-making, have given tennis fans a glimpse of what the sport will look like when the giants of the previous generation eventually step aside. It is in these rivalries that Alcaraz's resilience shines brightest, because it is not just about beating opponents, it is about withstanding the demands of being at the center of every conversation in the sport. Yet for all his accomplishments and battles, what makes Alcaraz such a captivating figure is his charisma. On court, he exudes energy, passion, and joy, playing the game with a smile that feels genuine and infectious. Unlike some athletes who are weighed down by the seriousness of competition, Alcaraz seems to thrive on the fun of it, embracing the theatrical moments, interacting with crowds, and celebrating points with a mix of intensity and delight. That personality has made him not just a star for Spain but a global icon, someone who resonates with fans of all ages. Young kids see him as a role model, older fans see him as a breath of fresh air, and his peers recognize him as a competitor who can elevate the sport with his presence. Off the court, Alcaraz remains grounded. He speaks often about his family, his gratitude for the sacrifices they made, and the values they instilled in him. Despite his rapid rise to fame, he has avoided many of the pitfalls that come with celebrity, choosing instead to stay focused on his craft and the people who matter most to him. This humility, combined with his talent and charisma, has made him one of the most beloved figures in tennis today. He carries himself with a maturity that belies his years, a reminder that greatness is not just about winning titles but also about how one handles the journey. As the years progress, the expectations for Alcaraz will only grow, but if his career so far is any indication, he is more than ready for the challenge. The sport is in a period of transition, with Federer retired, Nadal approaching the twilight of his career, and Djokovic fighting to extend his dominance as long as possible. Into that void steps Alcaraz, not as a replacement for any of them, but as the leader of a new era. His game, his mindset, his charisma, and his resilience all suggest that he has the potential to define this generation, to inspire countless others, and to continue the tradition of excellence that has made tennis one of the most captivating sports in the world. In Carlos Alcaraz, we see not only a champion in the making but also a symbol of possibility. His journey reminds us that greatness is not confined to the past, that new heroes will always emerge, and that the beauty of sport lies in its ability to renew itself with each generation. Watching him play is to witness the unfolding of a story that will be told for years to come, a story of a young man who dreamed big, worked hard, and embraced every challenge with joy and determination. The world of tennis is lucky to have him, and fans everywhere can look forward to watching his legacy continue to grow. And as we reflect on the incredible journey of Carlos Alcaraz, the boy from Murcia who dared to dream and the young man who now carries the hopes of a generation, it becomes clear that his story is not just about tennis. It is about resilience, joy, and the belief that no matter the obstacles, greatness is within reach for those who pursue it with passion and humility. His battles with legends, his rivalries with peers, and his charismatic presence have already left a mark, but in many ways, his journey has only just begun. The world watches with anticipation, not just for the titles he will win, but for the inspiration he will continue to provide. Thank you for watching and joining us on this journey through the legacy and rise of Carlos Alcaraz, the young star redefining tennis for a new era. If you were inspired by his story, his resilience, and his passion, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video if his journey moved you, share it with others who love the game, and make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below to keep the conversation alive.